Hello, my name is Josh Clues and I'm going to give a presentation on how my viewpoint and work in graphic design, and more specifically advertising, has changed after spending the last few years of my life studying graphics through the stages of college, foundation and university. My interest in graphic design has always focused mainly on advertising. I would class this post as my first real attempt at advertising. The project was to rebrand a struggling company in order to help reboot it financially. I decided to look at Blockbuster Video Store. After research, I discovered the main reason to why Blockbuster was struggling was that people would rather stay at home and stream films from the internet rather than journeying to Blockbuster. I decided to use this as my main focal point, whilst also tying it into the film industry associated with Blockbuster. I opted for the horror genre, whilst also in turn choosing comedy as a theme, something I've always considered to be the most effective tool in advertising. Looking back now, I would class myself as naive when I completed this poster. Looking at it, there is no obvious link to Blockbuster, such as a logo or a theme colour. When compared to my more recent attempts at advertising and rebranding, I feel I've come on leaps and bounds through the help of foundation and university lectures and lecturers. The poster advertises Cadbury's hot chocolate, whilst jumping on a bandwagon of a national holiday at the time, which was the Queen's Jubilee. This poster incorporates all the features a poster should have, including the house colour of purple, the product itself, and the Cadbury's logo. One of my favourite designer illustrators, and the one that has perhaps had the biggest influence on my work over the past year, is Somi. After being shown his work during a university lecture, I was struck by his hand-drawn, free-flowing typography style, and the way he so comfortably fills all the space available whilst working around obstacles such as photographs. I believe when you look at my recent work in graphic design, Somi's influence is very apparent, whether it is for university work or my own personal work for others. This designer heavily inspired the Cadbury's poster I showed you earlier, as I wanted to fill up an otherwise empty area with text as comfortably as possible while sticking to an illustrative theme. The middle image is of a young up-and-comer in the American hip-hop music industry. Raw Blue contacted me to produce some flyers for him, advertising his latest single called Don't You Dare. I immediately got to work with a Somi-inspired flyer, seamlessly incorporating the name of the single and the name and the photograph of the rapper. This next project was based around raising awareness of child abuse and advertising the help that the NSPCC can provide. It all had to be done through an installation that would be ideally placed in a shopping mall of some kind. The ultra-realistic sculptural work of Ron Muick immediately came to mind. And so I decided on creating a blueprint of a 10-foot tall realistic sculpture of a child in a vulnerable position, featuring the line, "How obvious does it have to be?" showing that it is sometimes up to you to report possible child abuse, and that you shouldn't leave it until you are sure or until it is too late. This was an open brief project that I recently worked on. I chose to look at reality and the perceptions that people have over reality, for instance the theories behind it. After in-depth research, I came across the fact that everything to do with reality can be solved by a scientific and mathematical equation. I decided to tie this in with an advertising campaign for an article that would feature in the New Scientist magazine. All in all, I am pleased with my progress so far in the world of advertising and branding, and I'm well aware that I have a massive amount still to learn, something that I look forward to doing. Thank you for listening to my presentation.